Welcome to the Ex Terra podcast. The Ex Terra mission is to explore and discuss the business of space and its effect on the national and global economy, as well as life on Earth. How does what happens in space affect your life every day? That's what we're exploring on the Ex Terra website, as well as on this podcast. My guest is Roman Chiporukha, co-founder and CEO of Space VIP, a company bringing space-oriented experiences to those of us who are non-astronauts. And that's pretty much all of us. Roman, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me. Good morning.
Let's start off with your background. What led you into the field of space tourism?
Well, I own and operate a successful lifestyle and travel company supporting the world's ultra high net worth. And back in 2018, there was great interest for these incredible missions to the International Space Station. And that's how we got involved in all things related to space. In 2021, we started a company called Space VIP to inspire the next generation of private astronauts, and subsequently founded Space Prize, which is a global nonprofit promoting women in aerospace and STEAM.
So what is Space VIP?
Space VIP is an incredible organization that aggregates all of the data of all of the space operators currently available in the world. And our job is to really inspire the next generation of private astronauts by informing the public of all of the experiences out there, and doing that in a really approachable way. When you visit some of these websites, they talk about the dawn of humanity, and it's unclear to the consumer exactly what is being offered. So we wanted to make it super approachable, where we define the terms of what is the experience, how much does it cost, where do you go, how long is the training, if any, and how long will you be away from your significant partner and family. And so we wanted to do that in a really approachable way for the consumer, which is not currently in the market, and to do it in one place rather than having to go to 20 different websites to understand what you should be doing. We created one place that synthesized and aggregated all of this information.
When you look at the surge in interest in traveling to space, or at least having some of these space experiences, what is driving all of that? What is the kind of a thing that says, you know, I never thought about this before, but now maybe this is something that I can do?
Well, 2021, I think, was the most exciting year for space since we landed a man on the moon in 1969. We had Blue Origin, we had Virgin Galactic, we had Space Adventures at the end of last year. Axiom's mission is coming up this, hopefully in the next 30 days. So I think with Elon sending all of the satellites up there, there's been a lot of focus on space, and more importantly, there's a lot of private money focused in promoting this. So I think it's important to support, and it's really important to engage. And I'm thrilled to see that people are asking real questions about space and trying to understand how their life is impacted by the things going on out there.
Tell us who else is in your organization.
So I am working with my business partner, Eddie Miller, who is a serial entrepreneur. And, he called me in late 2020 and said, I think there's a real business here. It's fascinating to see how many more people are interested in space, and let's create something. So we brought on our co-founder and chief operating officer, Suzanne Moore, who has a history in finance and private family office matters. And the three of us started Space VIP. We also comprise the board of Space Prize, which is our nonprofit.
Talk about Space Prize a little bit, because you've mentioned that now a couple of times, and it was something that I wasn't really aware of. So give me a little bit more background on that.
Sure. Space Prize was founded in mid-2021. I was chatting with one of my Roman and Erica clients, and I had mentioned to her that we started Space VIP, and it's a fascinating space company designed to inspire the next generation of private astronauts. And I said to her, The more I learn about space, the more I realize how underserved women are in the aerospace community. And wouldn't it be great to found an organization that promotes women's interest in aerospace and STEAM? We added STEM with an A for arts, because I think arts represents a holistic approach to creativity that encompasses science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And she's a woman whose career was made in deep tech and data encryption, and she thought that it was a really interesting approach. And 2 weeks later, after we wrote the proposal, she sent us the first tranche of the money to get going on this. And effectively, Space Prize is a global contest open to 15 to 18-year-old women worldwide to promote their interest in universal space literacy and careers in aerospace and STEM. So we'll be giving away $500,000 of private astronaut experiences to women over the next 2 years. We've actually just finished our New York City Space Prize challenge, which was effectively a pilot of the global contest. And we selected one school from each of Manhattan's boroughs. It was a writing contest. The writing prompt was the overview effect, and tell us about a time where your life was changed by a change in perspective. And those 5 winners will be going on a zero gravity flight on May 28th.
And in fact,
we've already selected them.
Oh, good. Well, that sounds great. And in fact, our podcast last week was about the overview effect, and we spoke with Frank White about how that concept all came to be. So that's kind of a nice tie-in. And
he's one of the judges for our contest, actually.
That somehow doesn't surprise me, Roman. So you offer 3 different categories of experience. There's the Earthanaut, the astronaut, and the aquanaut. So talk a little bit more in detail about each of those.
Yes, thank you. We wanted to break these experiences up in a really digestible way, and it was evident that there were many experiences on this planet. There were experiences in space off of this planet, and there were space adjacent experiences in the world's ocean, which we believe is firmly tied to a lot of the experiences in space and just that general narrative. So Earthanaut experiences include things like simulation and centrifuge training, Orbit, which is a phenomenal organization and our partner in Space Prize, because one of the experiences is their private astronaut training. So we just wanted to give people an opportunity to assess what they can do right now on this planet without having to, go all the way into lower Earth orbit. Astronaut experiences or experiences that you can do off this planet, like Space Perspective, who is also the grand prize award for Space Prize, and things that you're doing with Axiom Space or Space Adventures, like the spacewalk that was previously that's available. And then the aquanaut experiences are the experiences in the world's ocean, like dives to the Mariana Trench or to the Titanic, or some of the research that you can be doing in saturation.
Now, the aquanaut experience also, you are kind of working in some way with the offshore habitat that's off Isla Mirada down here in Florida. And that's one of those things that I've always wanted to do. Just go spend a week underwater. I'm kind of an avid scuba diver, and I've always seen that and said, that'd be a fun thing to do for a week. How would I do that?
Well, you would pick up the phone and call us and say, hey, I'm interested in this Aquarius reef base experience that you have going on. And, it's interesting, when we reached out to them, we said, we have clients that are interested in doing this. And Tom said, well, that's really interesting, Roman. We've never done private experiences. We've mostly been focused on education, and together we've been able to craft a program for private aquanauts, and a portion of the proceeds goes to further research to Aquarius Reef Base and to some of the research endeavors that they have. So we always aim to be really transparent and work together with the operators that we're involved in to support their missions, because we don't believe in this billionaire joyride perspective that's been tainting the private astronaut and the private aquanaut experiences, because all of these folks that are interested in these experiences are not doing it just because they want to go to space. They're really keen on all of the research and all of the important findings that are a result of their trip.
Now, you say you come out of the travel industry. Travel industries put together package deals. Is that kind of what you're doing with Space VIP, or can people custom design an adventure? What's your process?
So our process, first and foremost, to understand what the client is interested in and what their budget is. We're in the process of detailing our own private astronaut sequence that we think starts with orbit or zero gravity, and then goes kind of up the ladder into spacewalk experiences. Why shouldn't people design their own curriculum of how to become a private astronaut? And I know NASA is currently the one who gives you wings or accolades for going to space, but who's to say that Space VIP won't be doing that in the future? In fact, with Space Prize, we're actually designing an open course 12-week intensive curriculum to teach people about space. So we're very invested in promoting universal space literacy, and we really want to work with people to design what's appropriate for them, because you may have $5,000 to allocate towards an experience. I may have $2 million to allocate. So for the person that's able to afford $2 million, we say maybe you start with chartering a zero gravity plane, and we get a moonwalker like Charlie Duke through our partners, who can join you on that experience and tell you about, what his thoughts were when he landed on the moon and what he thinks about zero gravity or lunar gravity. And then you can elevate the game by buying a space perspective capsule for 8 of your family member and friends. So it's really a matter of what the client seeks to accomplish. But just yesterday, I got a phone call saying, I want to go on a zero gravity flight with 2 of my friends in Long Beach, later in April. Is that available? What other experiences can I add to that when I'm on the East Coast? So just as we custom tailor experiences in our lifestyle and travel business, we do the same for space, because we're effectively the first space travel company in the world that's been able to bring all of these experiences together and offer them in a joint way.
I'm talking with Roman Chiporukha, co-founder and CEO of Space VIP on the Ex Terra podcast. Take a moment right now to click on subscribe and make sure you don't miss any of our podcasts, or if you're watching on YouTube, any of the videos from Ex Terra, the Journal of Space Commerce. Roman, I'm going to go to the elephant in the room, and that's Russia. And several of the experiences you're offering or that you work with or you advertise on your website are from the Russian Federation, particularly in the space adventures aspect of things. What impact is the war in Ukraine, do you think, going to have on that portion of your business?
Oh, I don't think it's been impacted. And Tom Shelley, the CEO of Space Adventures, and I had a conversation as soon as it happened. And his position, as is ours, is we absolutely cannot work with Russia until there's a regime change. So that's unfortunately it for the foreseeable future. I was born in Moscow, and I was planning to visit Moscow with my children this year. And my wife said to me, "When do you think we'll be able to go back?" And my response was, "I'm not sure," because obviously what's happening there is egregious, and we're in the process now of updating our website to say this is on hold pending the political situation. So unfortunately, Space Adventures is offline. Sorry.
No, and then that's unfortunate, because it was an interesting concept, and I know that we have some friends here in Florida, one of whom is from Russia. I have not had a chance to talk with him since this all began, but again, he kept saying, "We need to go to Russia. We need to go to Russia," and I'm not going to Russia anytime soon.
No. And the third component of the Space Prize award was land-based EVA training in Star City with a private tour of Star City, Russia, which unfortunately is no longer available. So we're now working with our team to see what we can substitute, or if we use the money that we would have spent there to do a subsidy for one of the schools or something in relation to that, switching it out or reallocating the funds. And hopefully the situation resolves itself and there is a regime change and we're able to go back and work in Russia, because I think Russia is an integral part of the space race and space historically, and as we all know, the ISS is really a joint venture between the United States and Russia. So it's really tragic what's going on, and I have family both in Kiev and St. Petersburg and Moscow, and it's terrible.
On to a happier topic. Space
Indeed.
tourism obviously has pretty recently become a real thing, but is it still, for the foreseeable future anyway, a thing for the rich and famous, or are some of the space VIP offerings for the non-Fortune 500 people among us?
Absolutely. As you look at some of the offerings from NASTAR, which is just outside of Philadelphia, centrifuge and simulation training costs under $10,000. And I'm not sitting here saying that $10,000 is not that expensive, but it's certainly not millions of dollars as some of the other experiences are. A zero gravity flight costs $8,250, I think, as far as their recent pricing is. So those experiences are affordable, they're available. Anyone participating in Space Prize may win some of these experiences, and I know that's a shameless plug for a Space Prize, but here we have it. So we designed the infograph on Space VIP to be able to showcase the increase of price and experiences, to be able to let people know that there's a lot of different experiences and different price points that are available. So maybe instead of taking that vacation to Mexico to sit on the beach, you can reallocate those funds and have the space experiences that you've wanted. And there are a lot of other organizations coming to line, building out incredible space camps, not just for children, but also for adults. So we'll surely see increase in opportunity and a lot of diverse experiences.
Other than podcasts like this, how do people find you?
We've been doing quite a few interviews. We're also on social media promoting the various things that we do. Now that we've stood up our global space prize, we will be refocusing on Space VIP and promoting the endeavors and building out our sales affiliate network worldwide. So you're sure to see more Space VIP in the news, in the media, on your social, and we hope to hear from you.
Well, be sure to put us on your media lists, and we'll be happy to pass those things along to our audience as well. You're going to be a featured speaker, Roman, at the Space Tourism Conference coming up in Los Angeles on the 28th of April. Can you give us maybe a little bit of a preview of the talk you're going to give?
Well, I think it's a panel, and we're talking about luxury and space and how those two things work together. I think folks are really interested to understand how the ultra high net worth are looking at space travel. And I've commented on this in the past and saying that the people that are going to space and that are truly interested in these unique and enriching experiences are intrepids. They're not fussy. They're not looking for 1,000 thread count sheets. They're looking to do really meaningful research and come back and share that with the world. And I think the one thing that we need to focus on, and this has really been the driving factor for me, and that's to impart to the world and the public just how much space is related to everyday living existence. The fact that we're able to have this conversation right now is based on satellites in space, supply channels, phytoplankton that are responsible for 50% of the world's oxygen are tracked by the satellites that we have in space. the Peloton that I was on this morning and lots of exercise equipment were designed to battle muscle atrophy in astronauts and then reappropriate it to life on this planet. Every successful app, or most successful apps that have come out of Palo Alto in the last 20 years, are based on GPS, which was built specifically for space. And yes, you and I and most of the listeners may know about this, but the general public doesn't. When they lace up their their sneakers and use Velcro to solidify that, that's something that's come from space. So I'm really keen on talking about why space matters for Earth. I'm really interested to talk about all of the medical research that's happening in space, the 3D organic printing, the cancer and Parkinson's work that's going on out there. And I just think it's really important for people to know why space is important and how it relates to their daily lives, and not to subscribe to the sensationalism of the billionaire joyride, because that's not what's happening. That's just simply not true.
And yet, and you mentioned that it was a panel on the luxury experience, and you talked about Orbit earlier. Nicholas Gomes has been our guest on this podcast as well, and that is the perception, is that this is something that, it's the beautiful people who get to go and do these things, and I guess you're looking more at democratizing the kind of space experience for people like me, who are sitting in a 3-bedroom house in, North Florida, and making us at least feel like that might be a possible thing someday.
It absolutely is a possible thing for normal people like ourselves. But as you and I well know, every success in industry came from private money. When you look at the advent and invention of the airplanes, that was funded, and the research was done by really wealthy individuals that had the leisure time to be able to allocate to those sorts of discovery. And then it proved to be a benefit for everyone. So I don't think we should demonize the ultra high net worth and the billionaires. We should say, thank you for allocating all these billions of dollars. And we know that your private funding will eventually help all of these things. So I'm friendly with Nicholas. I'm actually seeing him in Paris in 2 weeks. And as I mentioned, the private astronaut training is one of the grand prizes for Space Prize. So we work very closely with them. It's important to start from the top down and from the bottom up, which is what we're trying to do, and why we have Space VIP to inspire the next generation of private astronauts, but also Space Prize that's educating, because we're not. Keep in mind, we're not selling chairs here. Everyone knows what to do with the chair. Here, you need to impart the knowledge first and let people know why it's important, inspire their interests, and continue to cultivate them. So I look at it as a blend of both of those opportunities.
So the big question there is then, when you see Nicholas, is he going to share some of that wine that was on ISS with you?
I hope so.
Let's kind of wrap this up, Roman, and look out, if you will, over the next 10 to 15 years in space commerce, and what your role in that is going to be, and tell us kind of what you see.
Well, we've been in talks with a lot of these space companies that are phenomenal at the work that they're doing on the engineering side, but their strength is specifically that engineering work and not marketing and advertising and sales tactics. So we've been in talks with a couple of different companies in order to promote their ventures and actually explain that to their investors and to the public at large. I think there's a lot of money being allocated to the new space industry, and Space VIP will be an integral part of that, because effectively we're outliers in this field. We've been doing this since 2018. We don't come from an aerospace background. We run businesses and we sell truly unique and enriching experiences. So we're able to pair that with bringing things to the market. So I think we'll be heavily involved, and you'll be seeing a lot more of Space VIP, and the industry is just rapidly expanding, and we're really excited to be a part of that.
Do you feel like maybe in the next 10 to 15 years, the space tourism will become, if not commonplace, at least something that people don't think is as special as it is now?
I think people will continue to think that it's really special, frankly, and I think it'll certainly continue to evolve, and I hope that as people participate more in space tourism, hopefully the prices will come down a little bit so that more people can participate. I trust that there will be more organizations like Space Prize focusing and sponsoring people to have these experiences. Because keep in mind, you send somebody to space who didn't have the opportunity to do that, that impacts not only them, but their families, their friends, the communities from which they come. And it becomes like a domino effect. More people are interested, more people are curious. You have women pursuing careers in aerospace, and maybe they've only wanted to be a lawyer and now they'll be a lawyer for a space company, thereby ticking both boxes: their love for the law and their love for STEM.
And I suppose that I've always thought, I'm not a spring chicken, but when William Shatner is able to fly into space at 90, maybe there's hope for me yet.
I think there's hope for all of us. I'm really excited about Space Perspective, which, as you know, is the 8-person capsule attached to a hydrogen balloon that floats 20 miles above the Earth's surface, where you can see the curvature of the Earth and the sunrise over the Earth. That experience, I think, is tremendous because it doesn't require any training. You're in a pressurized capsule. You walk on with the clothes that you're wearing and you sip a cocktail as you see Florida below you. So I think there's extraordinary opportunities for all of us. And I hope to see all of you above the Earth's surface in the very near future.
Well, I hope to be there at some point in, if not the near future, at least the midterm. Roman, it's been fascinating. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
That's going to do it for this edition of the Ex Terra podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version of the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other popular podcasting platforms. Be sure to click on subscribe so that you don't miss an episode of the podcast or any of our other videos. You can also get daily space commerce news at xterrajsc.com. And one thing more, be sure to connect with us on LinkedIn and follow us on Twitter at xterrajsc. Until next time, I'm Tom Patton. Thanks for joining us.